and this really happened, from Bengal was chanting and dancing with devotees in a theater. And all the people there thought it was a genuine thing. They saw that he was from, very dark skinned, that he was from India, and he was wearing orange. He had both hands raised, and at the end of the kirtan, everyone bowed down, including him. But he, instead of bowing down like we bow down, he laid flat like a dandavat. And people were trying to, these were San Francisco sort of hippie types, were trying to get him to say something. And he feigned unconsciousness. I don't know if he was, I thought he was feigning it, but others thought that he was experiencing some kind of spiritual trance. So then this was brought to Prabhupada's attention the next day. And he heard the whole story about how these people, this gentleman and his friends, had come to the temple the previous day, and they had this one man who was masquerading as Lord Chaitanya had a small dog in his arms. And then this is all told to Srila Prabhupada, so he said, well, how should we deal with this man? Because he's becoming a regular visitor to the temple. And he said, you should say to him, my dear Chaitanya, and then kick on his face. And I was very relieved to hear that, because I thought there was something false, something phony about this guy. And that he was deceiving so many naive people. And there's a saying in Hindi, I don't know the Hindi, but Prabhupada said that if you tell the truth, people will attack you with loggerheads, with logs. And if you tell the truth, if you tell the truth, people will attack with loggerheads. If you speak lies, and then it's possible to illusion the entire world. So that was what was happening. He was illusioning these people and illusioning them they were very taken with his behavior. But it was determined that he was actually cheating them. So it's said in the Bhagavatam that at the very beginning that all Kaitava Dharma is thrown away. All cheating religions are cast aside. And today it's a very common thing that people cheat in the name of religion. There are many gurus and swamis who have come to the West, particularly to America, and they're frauds. It's a very common thing, and some of them have big followings. They're illusioning the entire world. They exist even today. And one of the ways that they were exposed by Srila Prabhupada is to say that many of them came to the West, but not one of them made a single devotee of Krishna, whereas one pure devotee came who was pure, and many devotees of Krishna manifested. People who were very engulfed in sinful activity gave up that sinful activity and became Narayana Parayanas, like Sushilas. Hare Krishna. So these are just some reflections. Anything else? Okay. Yes?
I'd just like to say, is it possible for us to work out what are weeds and what are flowers and what is internal and external? These simple questions, or is that involved with the spiritual master?
One should, Prabhupada writes in the purport, one should fearlessly follow the 12 Mahajans in the line of disciplic succession and thus be liberated from the clutches of Maya. So, anyone who follows in the succession of a Mahajan, and in our case it's Swayambhur or Lord Brahma, is able to distinguish between illusion and reality. And therefore it's important to read these books by Srila Prabhupada, because this is, in a sense, following the footsteps of a Mahajan. We consider Prabhupada a Mahajan. And so therefore it actually is possible by reading regularly to distinguish between reality and illusion. Therefore it's important to read every day. Prabhupada used to say that it's important to read and write every day. So it is possible. And it's also been said that anyone can, if you speak about Krishna, if you repeat what you've read, you can become a guru, a spiritual master. Is that it?
I thought, I meant it more in the terms of one taking a spiritual master to help you with those things, rather than doing it yourself.
Well, it's important. It's mentioned that one of the ways in which one advances in Krishna consciousness, a very important way, is to accept a spiritual master. Arjuna was very resistant to this idea. He didn't want to fight in the war because he was having to fight family members. And what kind of a war is this? In a war, you're supposed to fight your enemies. So and ultimately, after hearing from Krishna, he surrendered to him. But again, this is a voluntary thing. One has the option to take on the spiritual master. One has the option to reject the spiritual master, depending on what one wants to do with oneself. It's very easy to falsely depend on another person for everything. That's why I was mentioning that one should read every day and try to develop some learning oneself. Hare Krishna.
Can I make one comment in regards
Yes.
to that? Is that all right? When Vashishta is teaching Lord Ram, the whole passage where Vashishta teaches Lord Ram, and Lord Ram is sort of talking about people who have a fatalistic, who talk about fate is driving force behind everything. And Vashishta says, no, self-effort is the driving force behind everything. Everything is self-effort. To the degree that you put self-effort, to the degree that you'll make progress. It's not that you're depending on them saying, oh, fate this, I'm being controlled by every which way. No. Even karma is just a result of your self-effort. It's just the previous self-effort. And the self-effort that you're putting forth today is what's going to give you your results tomorrow. So in spiritual life, everything is self-effort. You have to depend on yourself. You make your reality. It's yourself. Your self-effort. To that degree that you put that self-effort, that's the degree you're going to make progress. And that's what Vashishta goes to tell the Lord Ram. So it's self-effort.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay, yes? Yes.
How does that relate to then that we are not good? We are then the effort. So, yeah, and then the effort, but we're not good.
And at the same time, we can be fired from our job, even though we're very honest employees, because Krishna had other plans.
I think also in relation to the doer, even the doer or not the doer, it's that sense of attachment. It's the self-effort, but even with the self-effort, you can't be attached to anything. You're going to actually, this is all Krishna, and however it's going to play out, it's going to play out. I'm just going to go with that. But it's not that we sit by, sit on the door and say, okay, well, I'm actually not the doer, so I may as well just sit here all day, just let the road go by.
That's the point I was looking for, is that, okay, we're not the doer, but we are the doer in another aspect.
Yeah, in one aspect we have that slight amount of independence, and so in one sense we're moving to a certain degree, and we can initially you can at least kind of cultivate the modes of nature. And the modes of nature they do everything. Everything is working according to the modes of nature. And ultimately according to Krishna. Yeah, so it's you're making the self-effort, but at the same time, it's not being attached to whatever is supposed to come of that effort. It's just sort of, that's where it's sort of out of the faith energy. You make the effort, and then when it doesn't go the way you sort of had it planned out, that's when you go, okay, well, that wasn't meant to be, I'll just keep on, I'm just going to keep on going that way and going that way. And that's the, I'm not the doer, I'm the spirit soul, I'm here, I'm seeing all this and I'm experiencing all this, but I'm not actually the Lord of this domain. And that's the critical difference.
I think also Prabhupada quoted Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, Krishna willing.
Krishna willing.
He always added that because he was so surrendered that he had his plans, but Krishna had greater, he might have had a different plan.
Is it similar to witnessing?
Is it similar to what?
Witnessing.
I don't know anything about witnessing. Maybe someone else does.
What do you need?
Okay, you put in the effort, you see results of things happening, you haven't planned anything, but you put in the effort. But there is no attachment, you're just seeing.
Yeah, it is. It's like what you're just experiencing, you're witnessing what's you're there, you're conscious of it, but you're not really, in a sense, involved.
Just another little quick comment, Maharaj, you may remember this. When Jadharani said to Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, is it okay to pray for Sankirtan vehicles? And he responded,
To pray for
Sankirtan vehicles. And he responded, as long as your prayers are accompanied by your endeavour. It's a very well-known, it's been bandied around a lot over the years. I just thought you might have been privy to that. But your endeavour needs to be there. Your individual, minute independence, your endeavour needs to be there. And of course, the rest is up to Krishna.
Well, it's like, I think anybody who's had children knows how, like, your kids always like, your kids are coming in asking for your help, but you know that they can do it. But they're always asking, oh yeah, can you do this, can you do this? You're like, come on, I know you can do this. I'll sit here and I'll help you do it, but I'm not going to do your work. You know what I mean? They're constantly, it's like if a kid can do math, and you go, oh, what's 8 plus 8? Well, come on, you know what 8 plus 8 is. And look, no, you tell me, you're quicker. Like, well, it gets kind of frustrating. So I can imagine it being the same way. If you're constantly, Krishna, can you do this? Or, Krishna, can you do this? Like, come on, I gave you legs, I gave you arms, you can breathe, you have strength. And you see, I gave you all the ability to do it.
Make the endeavour.
Try. So I think it must be, in a very similar sense.
Thank you very much. Srila Bhagavatam Ki Jai.